Who shaped Jammu and Kashmir? Who is the Iron Man of Jammu and Kashmir? The mindset behind the land reforms in Jammu and Kashmir. Who is the man who participated in Indian movement from Jammu and Kashmir? Are we aware of him? Do you know him? How much do we know about him? Is the government doing anything about his sacrifice? Hello and welcome back to the local report. My name is Varsha Dhar. These are the questions that should arise on this anniversary of Comrade Dhanwantri. Today we'll be talking about Comrade Dhanwantri, the legendary from Jammu and Kashmir who fought all his life. Comrade Dhanwantri was one of the noted revolutionaries, patriots who fought along with Shaheed-e-Azam, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Shiv Varma and others for the freedom of India. Dhanwantri was born on 7 March 1902 in Kali Jani, Jammu in a family of Dr. Durga Dutt Mahe. After completing his matriculation from Sri Ranbir Higher Secondary School, Comrade Dhanwantri went to DAV College in Lahore in 1917. While pursuing his studies, he joined the National Liberation Movement. After completing his Ayurvedic course, Comrade Dhanwantri started a private Ayurvedic practice in Sutar Mandi, Lahore, which in fact was used by revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Shiv Varma as a contact place. Dhanwantri too joined the Naujawan Bharat Sabha and Socialist Republican Party Army, the clandestine organization. The young revolutionary students had started to overthrow the British rule. Comrade Dhanwantri was the ideologue and activist of the revolutionary group led by Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, who had the vision and program to liberate India from the British imperialist slavery and to make India a socialist state. Comrade Dhanwantri accompanied Bhagat Singh when Saunders, the British police officer responsible for killing Lala Lajpat Rai, was killed in Lahore in 1928. He was arrested on 13 December 1929. After a month-long interrogation and torture, he went underground on 4 December 1930. He shot at the SP who was investigating the case against Bhagat Singh in Chandni Chowk, Delhi. The SP was grievously hurt, but his associate was killed. Dhanwantri was apprehended after a hot case and exchange of fire. Tried in many famous Lahore conspiracy, Delhi conspiracy, he along with the top revolutionaries were sentenced to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. He, like many of his colleagues, had acquired a fascination for Marxism, and his mind was in the process of gradual transition for revolutionary romanticism and ideological domain of scientific socialism and mass struggle. The result was that he, along with many of his colleagues, decided to join the Communist Party of India, which was under severe attack of the British rule. Several interesting anecdotes beset the revolutionary career of Bhagat Singh. Once in his bid to run away from the Andaman jail, after jumping over the stone wall, he had a fall and injured himself, which left him with a physical permanent scar around his waist, and that made it difficult for him to stand erect throughout his life. He was subjected to force feeding several times when he observed prolonged hunger strikes for various reasons. His food pipe deep down up to his chest had been disjointed and disfigured on that account. To protest against the logging of political prisoners in the Andaman jail, Dhanwantri led a successful hunger strike for 61 days. The British government was forced to yield all the political prisoners to reparted to the mainland. He is the man whom his delegators and political advisors also held in high esteem. It depicts a measure of popularity that after the release from the Andaman jail in 1939, he was made the president of Lahore District Congress Committee by an enormous popular acclaim. After his return in early 40s, Comrade Dhanwantri came to Jammu and founded and guided movements of farmers, youth, writers and students. His arrival brought back a qualitative change in the political scenario of the state. He established the Communist Party in the state. It is a well-known fact that in giving a progressive orientation in the Naya Kashmir and the National Conference, its coming to power, persuading its leadership and to introduce the land reforms to the real titles of the land and several progressive transformations. The Communist Party played an important role in bringing about socio-political economic change in the state. Dhanwantri's deep understanding and the first-hand experience and great advice of great value. Dhanwantri was the fountainhead of guidance of political activists in the state during the crucial period of after 1947. It would not be out of place to recall here that the first ever meeting of Communist people participated with unprecedented enthusiasm. The meeting was headed over by Mr. Ramchandra, who was dismissed then from service for taking a leading role in the country-wide bank employee strikes. The mass meeting was also the occasion of the first ever public denunciation of reactionary element in the state, who later organized themselves in the form of Praja Parishad in Jammu. Dhanwantri spent last 6 years of his life in the state when it was passing through a series of travails of partition, tribal attack, influx of refugees and collapse of administration. The so-called Kashmir problem being fresh and a burning question referred in the UN had made the conditions more worse and a serious conditions prevailed in the sensitive border state of the country. Dhanwantri was the only one to foresee the enormous advent of communal rights as a result of partition of the country. In fact, he had already warned the government, political parties, public as back in 1946 when the grave situation that were precipitating on the eve of partition by publishing the booklet Bleeding Punjab, in which he gave a brief account of his observation and first-hand information. Khan Ahmed Abbas, later when communal rights in divided India have taken a massive toll, he admonished the Indian government for not heeding of the timely warning given by Dhanwantri and adopting some of his measures to mitigate the sufferings of people. He suffered imprisonment, isolation and torture for more than 17 years of his total adult life of 34 years in the British jail. Dhanwantri earned for JNK a place of pride and role of the legendary Indian revolutionaries. He breathed his last on 13 December 1953 at the age of 51. The Jammu and Kashmir government has marked some of the places in the name of the legendary Comrade Dhanwantri. Some of the places are Dhanwantri Library in Jammu University, Dhanwantri Park at Trikuta Nagar, Gandhinagar, name of the Communist Party India, state headquarters, Comrade Dhanwantri Bhavan. The ancestral house of the first freedom fighter of Jammu and Kashmir lies in pathetic condition. His family members have settled abroad after his ancestral house was sold, which lies locked. The government has left it to decay instead of preserving it. At last, the torch that he burns over to us, the torch that he burns, the torch that he handed over to us still burns and is being carried out by large number of dedicated revolutionaries. That is the end of the video. That's all. Thank you. Till then, stay safe.